Let us begin with a hard saying, a saying that will seem to contradict the newspaper, the graveyard stone. No one ever died. Life never dies. Forms come and go. I am remains. Do not hurry past it. Hear it from the quiet center. We are not speaking of the rise and fall of breath, the tick of a clock, the chemistry of a body. We are speaking of life as God being, the one self before Abraham, the living presence that animates every appearing. God is life. God is immortality. God is omnipresence. God is the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world, and God does not flicker when a lamp is set down and another lifted. Forms are costumes on the stage of appearing. Life is the actor that never exits. The costume is changed, the scene turns, but the one who is being all does not appear or disappear by wardrobe. You have called the costume me, and so trembled when the seam gave way. You have called the day's scene home, and so suffered when the scenery shifted. Let us be exact, not I am this age, this diagnosis, this memory, but rather God is the life of this moment. God is the being that I am witnessing as my individuality. God is the only continuity here. If you look long at the costume, you will fear its wearing thin. If you rest a moment in the actor, you will find a laughter without sound and a peace without opposite. This is not the denial of human grief. This is the refusal to enthrone grief as final truth. Even the master stood at a tomb and wept, and yet he said, the maid is not dead, but sleepeth. And God is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live unto him. We meet tears with tenderness. We sit in silence with empty chairs, but we redirect the gaze from appearance to reality, from the costume to the life that wore it and still is. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Hear that, not on a plaque, but as presence breathing you now. So be still. We will not argue belief. We will behold truth and let it reveal itself. We are not here to win a point. We are here to let a presence announce itself as your being. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Look within and listen. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Let that word begin its own work. God is life. God is immortality. God is omnipresence. And because God is, you are in life that cannot die. Now that you have let the word life settle as God being and not as a pulse in time, we must make the first practical correction in our speech and, deeper than that, in our sense of self. Instead of this I am business, we change our treatment to God is. Do not hurry past that. Let it reform your tongue and your thought. Not I am immortal, but God is immortality, expressing as individual being. Not I am wise, but God is wisdom, and that wisdom appears as understanding wherever I am needed. Not I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, and that fullness flows as sufficiency in the place where I stand. Do you see the difference? One is a small person trying to hitch a ride on spirit. The other is spirit declaring itself as person. We have had human beings walking around with eyeglasses and saying, I am spiritual, I am perfect, and reaching into the little bottle to count the pills to prove it. If you are spiritual and perfect, what do you want help for? It is not the human mouth saying I am that changes anything. It is the beholding of what God is that dissolves the hypnotism. Be still and know that I am God, not I am Joel, Mary, or Bill. I am God, the I that is the life of you, present, undivided, unthreatened. Hear it as inner authority. I in the midst of you am mighty. This I is not boasting. It is the quiet certainty of presence being itself. Let me tell you a little story, because it happens every day. A man named Harold sat in a clinic lobby muttering, "I am strong, I am strong," while his hands trembled at the magazine. He was trying to talk himself into God. Then, in the silence that comes when you despair of trying, a different tone spoke within, not from his lips. "I, in the midst of thee, am strength." Rest. He didn't become strong. Strength revealed itself and used his name to walk out to the car. You see, we do not strap a spiritual label on a frightened self. We let the self reveal its nature as us. Even the Master gave us the key. "I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works." That is the pattern. Identity is derived from God, is not secured by human self-assertion. The personal I bows, "Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory," and the indwelling I answers, "Fear not, I am with thee." From then on, our practice is no longer affirmation, but witnessing. We sit, we listen, we behold. God is life, God is presence, God is power, God is wisdom, God is love. And as surely as dawn follows night, the word becomes flesh, peace felt, guidance recognized, provision appearing not because we declared it into being, but because being announced itself, and we were still enough to let it appear as us. Let us turn to that little fellow who has ruined more prayers than the devil ever did, the white poodle. You remember, under hypnosis, a man is told there is a white poodle trotting across the platform, and he swears he sees it. He reaches to pat it. He even warns his friends to step aside. Now, here's the sober fact. There never was a poodle. There was a suggestion and an I receiving it. When the suggestion is withdrawn, there is no fight, no healing required. There is only laughter and relief as normal sight returns. Carry that with you gently into the house where black coats rustle and the organ strains. I have stood by a casket and felt the pressure of a daughter's fingers say, "It's finished." And in that moment, the hypnotist whispers, "White poodle," and the room swears to a finality God never uttered. We are tender here. Tears are honest. Memory sacred, but let us not feed the poodle and ask it to behave. Not by stroking the appearance do we find peace, and not by preaching at sorrow either. We wake. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and let the I that is life show itself where the I reports an ending. So with the rope in the twilight that looks like a snake until the lamp is lit, and the railroad tracks that seem to meet until you walk them. So with this, what we fear as death is a misreading of appearance. God is life. God is indivisible presence. God is the continuity that does not come or go. Not I am holding on, but God is holding all in himself. We do not cure death. There is no death to cure in life. We awaken from the suggestion that a costume change is a loss of the actor. And in the light we find that nothing essential has moved. Do you see why we must stop addressing the poodle? Stop rebuking it. Stop petting it. Stop bargaining with it. Open the eye that sees there is none. At a funeral, I do not argue with the air. I turn within and listen for the still voice. Fear not, I am with thee. Lo, I am with you alway. I in the midst of you am mighty. And as that word sounds, something unexplainable occurs. The weight lifts, not because a fact has changed, but because fact has appeared. The valley of the shadow is a valley, but thou art with me. Form yields its tyranny, and presence takes the chair beside us. Then, even in mourning, we can whisper truth without violence. Life is unbroken. Appearances pass. I remains. In that hush, where appearances have lost their authority and the room remembers to breathe, there comes a word not from memory, not from a page, but from within the stillness itself. I am the resurrection and the life. Do not turn that into a slogan to be posted on a wall. Let it be a voice that addresses you. Let it be as near as your next breath, as intimate as your own name, and yet more than your name, for it speaks before names were given. This is not a sentence about a future revival. It is the present self-announcement of life, the I that never began and so never ends. You will recall the Master's humility. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Hold that beside I am the resurrection and the life, and you will see the key. The I of resurrection is not the personal Jesus speaking about a talent. It is the I am that uses every true servant as its mouth and hands. It is the same I that said, Lo, I am with you always, not a man walking behind you down a dusty road, but the presence that walks as your very being, the withinness that never leaves because it is what you are in truth. Hear it as inner authority, tender yet certain. I in the midst of you am mighty. This I is not a theology to be filed in your head. It is presence that elevates consciousness and then forms follow like obedient shadows. Resurrection is first arising in awareness from the hypnosis of endings to the fact of life unbroken. Then the stone that seemed to seal anything rolls itself. God is life. God is light. God is the only cause and the only continuity. Not I am going to work a miracle, but God is being God. And as consciousness yields to that recognition, the word becomes flesh as peace, as guidance, as restoration sometimes, as a body rising, sometimes as a grief transfigured, always as life unthreatened. If you will be very quiet just here, not to think, not to argue, simply to attend, you may hear it for yourself. Fear not, I am life within thee. I am the resurrection of every withered hope, the reappearing of that which never died in me. Lo, I am with thee unto the end of the world, unto the end of worlds, unto the end of endings. Do not strain to manufacture it. Do not scold your thoughts. Let the gentle eye speak, and let the hearing be enough. In that communion, you are not making anything true. You are discovering what already is. And when you rise from your chair and go back to the hospital room or the breakfast table or the quiet street, you will find that something goes with you that you did not bring, a presence that steadies the hands and sweetens the voice. Then you will know without debate that the eye of resurrection has not departed. It abides as the life of you, and in that abiding, nothing essential can be lost. And now let us take the tender comparison. The body is an instrument, life is the music, and the musician is God. See it, a violin may be old Italian wood or a student box, yet when the musician lays a hand upon it, sound becomes song. When the instrument is set back in its case, the musician is untroubled, and the melody is not ended. It abides in the source and will find voice again. God is the musician. God is the melody. God is rhythm and tone. Not I am going to make my body immortal, but God is immortal, life revealing its tune as this individuality for a season. Trace it in your own story. The instrument you called infant, the reed flute of childhood, became the trumpet of youth, then the cello of maturity, a bass now. Strings have been changed, the bow rehaired, the varnish dulled, and yet who is it that heard and recognized the theme through every register? The same eye that watched height marks on the doorframe and said, I. The form altered, the animating I remained. In him we live and move and have our being. Hear that not as doctrine, but as description. The being that lives you is the musician, and your body is an instrument in its shop. Now let us make the right correction, not saving a violin, but yielding to the musician whose song is endless, not deifying brass and wood, but letting the breath of spirit make a joyful noise. You honor the instrument, you keep it clean, you tune, You rest it in its case, but you do not rely on spruce and string for music. Our reliance is the infinite invisible, not anything visible. God is the sound. God is the silence between notes. God is the continuity. If a string snaps, does the melody die? The musician pauses, and the theme appears on another instrument. The Lord is my strength and my song. In grief, we stand before a silent instrument and call it loss. The hypnotist whispers, "White poodle," and the room swears the music is finished. Be still, and hear the conductor speak. Fear not. I am life within thee. I set the tempo. I in the midst of you am mighty. Lo, I am with you alway. You will understand forms can come and go without threatening the symphony, for the score is written in the heart of God, and each appearance is a movement, not the whole. God is melody unbroken. God is the one playing itself through countless forms. Let us honor the instruments that serve, release those retired, and lean our ear to the musician who never leaves the stage. Now close your eyes, not as a ritual, but as a gentle withdrawing of the tendrils that have clung to chair and wall and face and clock. Withdraw, just for a moment, from the senses, and let attention rest, not on a picture or a wish, but on the simple word I. Not I, the person rehearsing lines, but I, the life that is living you. Be still and know that I am God. Let the breath come and go without your management. Let hands grow quiet. Let the room be what it is, and let the center be what it has always been. Now begin this inner litany, not to persuade God, but to remind the mind, God is. God is presence. God is life. God is intelligence. God is love. God is peace. God is the melody, unbroken. God is the light that lighteth every man. God is omnipresence. God is omniscience. God is omnipotence. Do not try to feel anything. Let these be as drops on parched ground. God is. God is. God is. And now, very quietly, hear a word that does not come from your lips. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not move it with your thought. Simply let it fall, like a key heard in a familiar lock. Lo, I am with you alway. I in the midst of you am mighty. Let that I step out from the sentence and stand as presence. Not a phrase on a page, not a memory of church, but the living, one that breathes within your breathing. Here is the threefold movement. First, withdraw belief from appearances, caskets and calendars, symptoms and headlines, the silent instrument on the stand. Do not fight them, release them from authority as you would wake from the white poodle. Second, realize God is. Let the litany fill the room of consciousness until there is only God being God. Third, listen in the holy hush. Do not reach for a sign. Do not bargain. Listen. It may be only stillness, and that stillness is a voice. This communion between the within and the without is the Holy Ghost, the meeting of the Father and the child in the secret place. Stay here a minute longer. In this quiet, no one ever died is not a theory. It is a felt certainty without argument. The breath slows, the shoulders melt, the mind loosens its fist, and something gentle, strong, nameless, takes the place of fear. In him we live and move and have our being. I am the resurrection, and the life speaks not of tomorrow but of now. Let the word become flesh, as peace, as a steadying warmth behind the heart. And when you open your eyes, do not leave the room. Take the room with you. Practice this. Never permit a day to go by without some period of this quiet, peaceful communion. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord appearing as assurance, as guidance, as the simple, undeniable fact of deathless life present where you are. Bring this into your walking and your weeping. Our reliance is not in urns or ribbons, not in ceremonies or sentiment, not in mediums reaching through a veil or platitudes trying to prop a sagging hour. Our reliance is in the infinite invisible, in that presence we have just tasted. Is the marble the memorial? Or is the living word the memorial? Is the brass lock on a casket the security? Or is God as our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble? Not in anything that can be touched with hands or signed in a ledger, but in the eye that whispers, "Fear not, I am with thee." Stand still and let that word become the air around you. I am a fortress and a shelter. Let it be wall and roof and warmth. God is here. God is life, and life does not vacate its own universe to make room for endings. In the hospital room, with the light too bright and the beeping that tempts the heart to count, stand inwardly and withdraw permission from appearances. You do not argue with a monitor or plead with a prognosis. You turn, as with a practiced motion, to the center and hear, "I in the midst of you am mighty. Be still and know that I am God." Let that knowing, not your lips, fill the room until the machines are background to presence. In Him we live and move and have our being. Not by the fear of death do we pass into life, but by spiritual regeneration, by a rising of awareness out of hypnotism into God is. Then form begins to echo reality. The breath evens, or the worry loosens, or the guidance rises clean, sometimes release, sometimes renewal, but always life unafraid. At the empty chair, the mug still on the shelf in its certain place, let the first tear be tender and the second be trust. Do not make a shrine of absence, make a sanctuary of presence. Sit there 5 minutes and say nothing but this within. God is my comfort. God is the continuity of love. Under the shadow of the Almighty is not poetry for a far land. It is the atmosphere you choose. As awareness opens, form follows like a well-trained servant. A memory becomes blessing instead of stab. A phone rings with the right voice. A bill meets a provision you did not plan. Supply does not come from a chair or a paycheck. It flows from the fullness that is God expressed as the place where you stand. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. And when the morning paper prints a name and the town hums with the news, do not harden into doctrine or soften into denial. We weep with them that weep, and while we weep, we behold. God is life. I am the resurrection and the life. Lo, I am with you always. Not by clutching form, but by yielding to the infinite invisible, we pass from fear into life's own poise. Stand still, wherever you are, and let the inner word take the chair beside you. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Then watch quietly, without advertisement, as the word becomes flesh in the only ways that prove anything. A peace, not of your making, a clarity that orders the next step, a provision that answers the day. Our safety, our comfort, our guidance arise not from what can be held in the hand, but from the presence that holds us all. God is, God is, God is. Now, because we have placed our reliance where it belongs, let us be plain about the next movement. We do not convince, we commune, and life proves itself. Retire the banners and the badges that read, I am harmonious, I am perfect, I am immortal, as if a lapel pin could make a saint. With compassion and a grin, let us tell the truth. Beings walk around with eyeglasses, peering at fine print of a prescription, and say, I am omniscient. If you were, why the spectacles? Not to shame us, but to free us from pretending. Instead of this I am business, we change our treatment to God is. God is harmony. God is perfection revealing itself as wholeness. Where I appear, God is wisdom, and wisdom functions as understanding in the hour it is needed. What are the marks of demonstration? Not fireworks, but fruit. Where panic used to whip the heart, a quietness stands guard. Where confusion rattled the day, guidance takes you by the elbow and turns down the right hall. Peace first, then provision, inner assurance, then outer arrangement. Hear the order in Scripture. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Not I am wealthy, but the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. And that fullness appears as sufficiency, not as boast. We do not push open doors. The door stands of its own accord, and we find ourselves walking through, surprised by ease. How does it work? In the quiet, a voice without volume speaks. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Be still. And the first proof is not the check in the mail. It is the lifting of the shoulders, the unclenching of the jaw, the relief that needs no witness but your own breath. Then, as if answering a cue form takes its proper place, the call comes, the bill is met, the doctor says, it's changing. The estranged one texts, can we talk? You did not declare it into being. You beheld God being God, and the Word became flesh in the only way that matters, undeniable peace and timely provision. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Let us keep our humor. A dear friend once sat with me, assuring the air, I am harmonious, while drumming his foot like a telegraph. I said, brother, let us stop informing God and let God inform us. We grew quiet. After a minute, he sighed and chuckled. It's all right. No angel feathers, just order returning. Within the week, the tangle he had named unraveled itself without a speech or a struggle. That is demonstration. So let us be honest and let God be God. Not I am wise, but God is wisdom. Not I am strong, but the Lord is my strength and my song. Not I am free of fear by effort, but perfect love casteth out fear. Make your daily contact. Sit, listen, and trust the inner low. I am with you alway. From this communion the marks appear, quiet where panic was, light where fog was, sufficiency where lack frightened, and you need no argument, for life has proved itself. Paul gives us the phrase, I die daily, and immediately the old hypnotist tries to make it grim. Hear it rightly. The life that is God does not die. The I that says, I in the midst of you am mighty, does not thin, fade, or retire. What dies is not life, but the masks, opinions, fears, self-portraits in bad light, the little stories on a birth certificate that pretend to be identity. Each time we are still and let a concept fall away, we feel the small funeral of a lie, and in the same breath the birth cry of truth. I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Let the persona yield, not into annihilation, but into disclosure. Not I am erased, but God is unveiled as the truth of this individuality. Not loss, but light upon what already is. Watch how the white poodle vanishes when you stop arguing with it. So do the inherited fears, the borrowed labels, the boasts and shames that have walked us like leash dogs. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing strips suggestion of costume, and what stands revealed is simple, being quiet, sufficient, not subject to obituary or applause. Then the apostle's taunt becomes your own. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting is belief, the grave is concept. As beliefs drop, the sting drops. What remains? God is life, God is presence, God is continuity. Not I hold on, but love holds me. not I secure tomorrow, but lo, I am with you always. In that atmosphere, endings lose their threat and beginnings lose their strain. The heart learns the rhythm of letting go and finding that nothing essential has moved. This is resurrection now. It is arising in consciousness from appearance to essence, from person as source to God is as me. Practice it simply. When fear presents its paper, do not sign it. Stand inwardly and say, not I am brave, but God is my courage. Then listen until the inner voice answers its own name. When pride swells, let it be baptized. Not I am sufficient, but my grace is sufficient for thee. When grief tightens, breathe once more. Not I have lost, but love is indivisible. Show thyself. The answer will not be an argument. It will be presence felt, and the word will become flesh as poise, as right action, as a softening that no lecture could produce. So, understand this purification. The only thing that dies is misconception. Life remains newly seen. Dying daily is the gentle sacrament by which masks slip, suggestions dissolve, and the indwelling I stands unopposed. Behold, I make all things new, not by changing reality, but by unveiling it here now as you. Now, because this dying daily has softened the grip of concept, let us look at our part when sorrow knocks on another's door. Spiritual work is not a hobby for eager hands. It is a calling. Spiritual work should be done by those who have a call of the Spirit, not a call of man. If you go to the bereaved because you can quote truth, stay and be quiet until the Spirit sends you. If you go because love has moved and steadied you inside, then go empty of formulas, available as presence. We are not sent to fix feelings. We are sent to bear witness that God is. God is comfort. God is the everlasting arms. God is here. Avoid metaphysical arrogance, that shield that tries to stop tears with syllables. Do not talk the white poodle in the house of mourning. Do not announce to a tender heart that there is no death, as if a sentence could erase a ache. We weep with them that weep. We sit, we listen. We let the chair creak and the kettle sing, and beneath it we let the inner word rise, not to them first, but in us. Be still and know that I am God. When the hush has authority, one simple word may be given, or none, but the room will feel a warmth that no lecture could kindle. What do we offer? Silence and prayer and the gentle inner word, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Lo, I am with you alway. I in the midst of you am mighty. Let that be your speaking before any sound leaves your lips. Not promises about forms where someone has gone, what will happen next, but recognition of presence. Not advice, but communion. Let your hand be a sacrament and your glance a sanctuary. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Let God be the sentence, and if a word is asked of you, let it be born of that presence, short and clean. Peace, we are here, the Lord is near. Make the clear exchange now. Not sentiment, but spirit. Not argument, but presence. Not fixing, but beholding. Our reliance is not on skillful phrases, not on timing of a casserole, not on fireworks. Our reliance is the infinite invisible loving through us. Stand still in sorrow and hear. Fear not, I am life within thee. Comfort ye, my people. But let the comfort be God's own breath. As you rest in God is love, God is solace, God is continuity. The word becomes flesh as a softening in the room, as shoulders loosening, as the first breath since the phone rang. Be very still now, and let the voice that has been whispering beneath your thoughts, step forward without strain. Fear not, I am life within thee. I am thy breath. I am thy continuity. I am nearer than breathing, closer than hands and feet. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Lo, I am with you alway. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Where the mind has rehearsed endings, I am beginningless. Where the heart trembles at a door that seems shut, I am the door, and by me you go in and out and find pasture. Forms come and go. I remain. Do not measure me by the shape I use. I am the resurrection in the midst of thee. I raise that which in me has never fallen. I reveal that which in me has never been lost. I prepare a place in consciousness, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens of your awareness, where you may rest and know that under the shadow of the Almighty no harm can enter. Be still and know that I am God. When you feel the night descend, I am the morning within it. When you hear a last breath, know this. I am the breath you cannot count, the life no calendar records. Look to me, look to me, look within. Not to yesterday's strength, nor to tomorrow's scheme. Not to the left, nor to the right, but to the center where I speak without sound. I am thy fortress and thy song. I am thy peace beyond understanding, a peace that does not borrow its poise from circumstances. I lead thee beside still waters. I restore thy soul. Yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fear no evil. For I am with thee, rod and staff present as comfort. Goodness and mercy follow thee, not because of fortune's smile, but because I am all that is present, and I am good, and my mercy endureth forever. Rest now. Do not try to make anything happen. Presence is already happening as you, around you, before you. I go before thee to make the crooked places straight. I prepare a table before thee in the presence of appearances. I anoint thy head with oil until the mind remembers and the heart grows still. The word becomes flesh of itself. Peace first, then provision. Assurance first, then arrangement. Yield your grasp and let me be what I am. I am thy life. I am thy breath. I am thy continuity. The instrument may be set aside for a moment, for a season, for an age, but the music does not cease, and I am the musician who never leaves the stage. Abide with me as I abide in you, and you will discover that no change of form can outlast this word that I am speaking. Fear not, I am life within thee. Beloved, the commission is quiet and it is simple. Live as witness, not as salesman. Behold, do not explain. Let the cadence be clear in you, not a body, but life. Not an ending, but appearing and reappearing. Not I am, but God is. God is presence. God is continuity. God is the breath within every breath. Practice this recognition until it stands up by itself when you forget to prop it. Then, without trumpet or badge, your very manner will speak the way a lamp speaks, without vocabulary, and those near you will find themselves warmed. Make this your rule of life. Never permit a day to pass without some quiet communion with the inner eye. In the morning, before the world remembers its lists, sit 5 minutes and let the litany form. God is. God is life, intelligence, love. God is the environment of my being. At midday, when the noise climbs, stand still, literally, if you can, inwardly, if you must, and hear, be still, and know that I am God. In the evening, let gratitude be your pillow, not for events alone, but for presence. Lo, I am with you always, so the night becomes sanctuary rather than storage for worry. Carry the duality, see instruments, kindly bodies, jobs, houses, schedules, but rely on the musician. Let supply be the natural echo of reliance, not the object of strain. Seek ye first the kingdom, and watch addition take care of itself. You will not need to push rivers. Peace will run in its own bed, and provision will meet you on the path it has chosen. Our reliance is the infinite invisible, and so our safety is independent of locks, our guidance independent of guesses. The word becomes flesh as a quiet that does not borrow its poise from weather, as the right word when silence has done its work, as the open door that was not on your map yesterday. Walk softly among men as one whose ears are tuned. Honor their instruments. Do not demand they play your song. Be present. Let your atmosphere preach, not your tongue. Let your hands be sacraments. Let your eyes say, fear not. When asked, speak little. And from the center, God is here, God is life. Then step back and let the presence prove itself. Demonstration, not declaration. Now we go not to do great things, but to let God be God, where we appear. Morning God is, midday, standstill, evening, gratitude, and between, a listening heart. God is life. God is here. God is the I in the midst of you, mighty and deathless. Lo, I am with you alway. Walk softly, witness truly, and let love write tomorrow's quiet song.